Right, and I'll start with Indonesia. According to the Association of Indonesian Palm Oil Farmers, in 2021, only 0.2% of Indonesian smallholders or small-scale CPO farmers are ISPO certified. Is this one of the big problems?
There is an issues with the smallholders that is linked to the big corporation, and there is smallholders who are standalone of corporation. So the smallholder, which is standalone corporations, that the government needs to empower them to more comply on the ISPO.
Right, but this is still quite a big gap because the target is to be 100% ISPO certified for all CPO producers in Indonesia by 2025, which is in 2 years' time. Smallholders, only 0.2% of them in 2021 were certified. So, are you confident that that gap can be, met? Can all those smallholders be certified?
I think we have fund for this BPDPKS for the CPO fund, so we can utilize this fund to support the smallholders.
Right. Are you confident you can meet that target though in a short period of time?
That's will evaluate on progress basis.
Okay, Minister. Now, regarding Malaysia itself, I think 84% of smallholders are certified with MSPO. Is there a target to make it 100%, and what are maybe the timeline for that?
Of course, we will want to increase in terms of MSPO certified smallholders. There are specific initiative that we have been doing to make sure that they are given that. But to achieve 100% will be a challenge. There may be some smallholders who may not be able to comply in terms of maintaining that certification, because certification, once you get the certification, you have to maintain that standard throughout. So that will be the challenge. So not all of them, because some smallholders are family-owned. And some are not operated by the owner of the land. So that could be the challenge that we're looking at. But the target is we will help as many as possible so that all of them will be MSPO certified. And as far as MSPO is concerned, we are quite near to RSPO, but to a certain extent, we are better than RSPO. So one of our discussion in our meeting this morning was what way we can jointly with Indonesia, ISPO, MSPO, maybe we can bring it up to ASEAN level and so on, so that it will be recognized as a bigger entity rather than just Indonesia and Malaysia. But if we can have a common standard, and for ASEAN for that matter, that will be more acceptable, maybe at world scenario, so that it will be more voices to be heard and so on. And at the same time, we are also looking at United Nations, CPOPC for that matter, will be recognized as one of the entity that will be playing a major role as far as palm oil is concerned, in terms of sustainability, in terms of food security, in terms of all the health perspective of it. And that will be the areas that we want to elevate MSPO and ISPO in terms of recognition at a world arena.
Right, so regarding this collaboration of joining the MSPO and the ISPO, could you perhaps give more details as to how it will be different from the current standards now, how it will be better, what parts of it will be changed?
There are many areas. If you look at MSPO, in Malaysia, we have revised it in 2019. So that is to prohibit the conversion of natural forests, protected areas and also high conservation value areas. And this will also comply with the new EU regulation. So in that area, I think this is where I think Indonesia, together with Malaysia, will look into, number one, in compliance perspective. But at the same time, we need to also educate the other countries that our standard has to be judged based on our backgrounds, because of the different background between Europe, America, United States for that matter, and also Indonesia and so on. So our initiative will be different from the other areas and so on. That's why they must also acknowledge certain areas we may not be able to comply that standard, but because of certain initiative that we're doing, in particular the smallholders, because the initiative is not only planting of palm oil is just initiative to alleviate them or to bring them out of poverty. So that is just a tool. So if you take that away from that initiative, so we not be able to achieve them to be out of the poverty.
Right, and maybe Pak Menteri, you would like to add how maybe this common standard will be different from the ISPO, will be an improvement, and if so, how?
For Indonesia, standard is one thing, but against the people's welfare is important. That's why we make a program for replanting, because the yield of the people palm oil is different with the big corporation. The gap is too high. So to maintain the cost of certification, there is a cost. It's not free. So we need to improve their yield in order for them to get a better return. And the government gives them financial support for the replanting. But as you know, replanting, it takes 4 years for them to wait for the new fruit can be harvested. So it's more complex than only about standard. But again, if we export, that is ISPO, MSPO, and RSPO comply standard. So with this, the traceability, the seed, and the value chain traceability, we are working on this. And if with this 40% of plantations belong to the smallholders, the data digitalization is very important. So digitalization will be looking forward, will be becoming part of process for standardization as well.
Right. As you were saying, it's more complex than common standards.
Right.
So I suppose when the meeting will be held with EU officials, other than standards, what other points need to be cleared out so maybe this whole issue can be finally straightened out after all these years?
Europe has many stakeholders. They have the European Council, they have the Parliament, they have the EU government. We have to talk with all of different agencies. So I think in the past we have invited the EU Parliament to see for themselves how the practice of the plantation in Indonesia. But since they have this deforestation or Green Deal, I think we have to approach them more aggressively than what we have done so far.
So hoping for the best, of course. Palm oil was a very important commodity for both Indonesia and Malaysia. Your Excellencies, thank you so much for speaking to Metro
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.